How's it going? I'm here to 7 here. I haven't done a video about Ferguson yet. It's the one and only time I'm going to do one. Ferguson, Missouri. Pretty much been a lot of protesting, rioting, looting, and police violating the First Amendment, attacking reporters and peaceful protesters. I'm not going to get into why it's happening or what was the cause of it, why they're protesting, but I'm going to tell you this much right now. But I'm going to tell you that in this video. The first weekend, not this weekend, but the weekend before, there was rioting and looting in Ferguson, Missouri, for the shooting of Michael Brown. At that time, it was reported that Michael Brown was shot in the back, had his hands up. Okay? Now, I'm all for protesting wrongful doing of the police. Police have been recorded always violating people's rights and being really belligerent when they're on camera, thinking they have all the power and can get away with it. And actually, the system has been set up that way. Unfortunately. More often than not. They tell you to turn off the camera, you're impeding an investigation, whatever and whatnot. When in actuality, you're not. A person has all the rights to record police. They are public servant. They have this mindset of saying, you have to do what I tell you to do. Which, police, you need to think what you swore. You swore in the Constitution. As I'm a veteran, I've sworn that too. I swore to uphold it. To protect and serve, that's what you supposedly model is. But in actuality, there's been a Supreme Court ruling that police really do not have to protect you. And then if they're not, then why are they there for? Let me digress. Ferguson, so the first 2 nights of not this past weekend, but the weekend before, had rioting and looting. Very wrong. I disagree with that. Why riot? Why loot? Destroy your own town, your city, and what does that do? All those businesses you burn or loot or just make a mockery of, burn it down. You think those people who own those businesses are going to come back? No, they're not. Think critically. Now, there's been reports of cops of Ferguson have let people loot, have let people riot. Why? Like I said again, use your critical thinking. Now, come Monday and Tuesday, there's no rioting, but peaceful protests. And people have been there, reporters from independent and some mainstream media were there since, I guess, last Wednesday or last Tuesday, and they recorded peaceful protests. And those peaceful protesters were being shot with rubber bullets, tear gas, and what have you. So police were inciting the violence and pretty much impeding people's rights to protest, which is within the First Amendment rights. And also shooting reporters. That's also on record. That's video of that. I'm not saying all of this out of my ass. Please look it up. It's all over the internet. I'm just putting my 2 cents in. What this can cause. What will this come after this? Okay? Now, I'm not anti-police, but I am anti-bad police. And what happened in Ferguson and what is happening in Ferguson is bad policing. Okay? I know some people are going to come defense of the police. Oh, they had the right to do that. Those thugs and blah, blah, this and that. Well, one, people, this reminds me of the LA riots. People from other towns went to South Central in Compton, rioted. People who do not even live in South Central went and rioted that and burned pretty much half of the town. Same thing happened in Ferguson. People from other cities, other towns, came down just to loot. Pretty much incited and provocateured the violence. Okay? So let's fast forward to Wednesday. I guess from what I've seen in Ustream and YouTube, where the police really, really ramped up the violence. Shot tear gases everywhere against the media. Even Al Jazeera got shot up. Pretty much their reporters got shot with tear gas literally within 5 feet away from their cameras. They had to run away. And it was footage of the cops turning down the lights and putting down the camera so no one would have records of them doing the violence. Too bad. There's record of it. And then the next day, the police department says, oh, we were trying to help the media. And they said thank you. Contradiction? Yes. Because the Al Jazeera media people said they never said thank you, and they were they were chased by the police. Okay? But here's the thing with this. Police, you're playing into the us versus them mentality. You've been trained this way. Unfortunately, you've been trained to see that people are insurgents, like how the military was taught. It was told that in Fallujah, Iraq, and Afghanistan, that most of the people are Taliban. Okay, be on the lookout. The people who are engaging you are the bad guys. That's what you've been taught. It's not right. You've been militarized for too long. Hell, SWAT teams, you only use that for really dire straight that you need them. Okay? You had riot control, the dress were like SWATs. And you had snipers. You had snipers pointing rifles at peaceful protesters. Red dots on their backs and some in their head. That's not how you behave, police. You have been taught and you have been given military weapons and armored vehicles from both wars for barely any, practically almost free. Those vehicles, MRAPs, and military vehicles that you guys got now, literally, from what I researched, you buy them maybe $2,000, when in actuality they're worth almost $1 million a piece. Now, for the people in Ferguson, I understand your frustration. I understand but here's the thing: you can't make this about race. But I do understand it. But if you make it about race, you're playing into the narrative of the government, the narrative of the globalist, who wants us all against each other. Okay, of a us against them mentality. Because once this is really normalized, that hey, it's going to be riots here, riots there, the federal government's going to play referee and going to put new sanctions. There's going to be practically martial law. And that's what you had in Ferguson. You had martial law for practically a whole week now. And they even put a curfew last Friday, this whole weekend. And from what I've read and have seen, there's more violence from the cops and some looting again. And some cops were told to stand down again. Because on Thursday, the highway patrol came along, and it was pretty peaceful. And Friday. And then Saturday, Sunday, there's reports of it was the same cops who were there on Wednesday and Tuesday last week. Now, I'm not the first one to say this. Most libertarians and liberty and people in truth movement know the militarization of the police has been going on for years. The mainstream media has been covering it up. And any other internet wannabes who just parrot the mainstream media and the government are just barely waking up now. They're just barely realizing right now. While people like me, others like me, have seen it going on for years. For one, last year when in Boston, they were looking for one 19-year-old kid. I'm not going to say who it is. You know who it is. And they shut up a boat. Pretty much the whole neighborhood. It was a martial law lockdown. Okay? Now, as this for a racial thing, it can't be. It shouldn't be. But you have the Al Sharptons, Jesse Jacksons, the new Black Panthers Party, which actually is a DOJ run. Please look it up. I'm not saying this out of my ass. Please look it up. Look it up. Okay? Inciting this as to be a race war. We don't need that. We don't need a race war. Why? Okay? Who would benefit? Think about it. Who would benefit from a race war? It makes no sense to have one. Okay? Now, as for Michael Brown, I've looked it up over this past weekend, and earlier today, there's reports that there's videos that have come out where he was charging towards the police, and the way he was positioned, he wasn't walking away from police, and all his gunshot wounds are not from the back, are all from the front. So it kind of contradicts of him running away and had his hands up. Now, am I saying it? Oh, he should have. Oh, that's okay now? No, I'm not saying that. Also, there's reports of him manhandling this thing was over a robbery. So far, the reports of that, it's contradictory when it was told that the interactions with the police with Darren Wilson had nothing to do with that. But am I going to paint the Michael Brown as a bad guy here? There's no bad guy, good guy. The only bad guy I see is the government and the militarization and people who's trying to profit from this. Now, as for Mike Brown, there's video of it, a 10-minute video. I'll post it up on a link after this video. That there was a witness talking, you just hear it, that Mike Brown was facing and practically kind of charging towards the police when he got shot. And there's also reports of a scuffle now from a witness, not from the police, a witness that the Michael Brown was having a scuffle with Darren Wilson. Okay? What am I trying to get here? I'm trying to tell you is know the situation first before overreacting. Okay? But I'm still for people protesting. That's fine. Peaceful protesting. That's great. Exercise your First Amendment. But be aware of what you're being used for. Okay? And also recognize the people who's around you, who's trying to provoke the police into violence. And police, remember why you became police. Okay? You're not there to impede people's rights for the First Amendment or the Fourth Amendment. Okay? And when somebody is recording you, say nothing. Say, okay, you're recording me. Fine. Because you are a public servant. You have no privacy when you're in the public life. Okay? You swore to being a government servant or a public servant, and you are going to be recorded. Okay? You always say, oh, most of you cops always say, if you have nothing to hide, then why you need to lie, or why complaining about being recorded? Well, turn it around on you. Why would you mind me recording or anyone else recording if you have nothing to hide? Okay. Now, there's been an epidemic of, I guess, and this past last week, there's another in LAPD. I'm not surprised about it. LAPD and NYPD are the two most corrupt police departments there is in this country. NYPD chokes a big man and pretty much says, oh, he died of a heart attack or some sort of bullshit. Again, people, you need to recognize the militarization of police and what can this come of. Okay? It's not a black thing, it's not a white thing, it's not a brown thing, it's not a yellow thing. We all have to come together and understand what it is about. Okay? I'm not going to tell you right now, but you need to use your brain. Critical thinking. Okay? What happened in Ferguson can and will happen everywhere else. It has happened. People have forgotten history. Okay? Look at Germany before Germany in 1930, 1931. Please look it up. I've looked it up. They were practically what America is, or what America was. It was prosperous. Everybody was getting along. It was basically, in a way, in a liberal. It was a liberal nation in a way. But remember, the Germans, the first country the Germans or the Nazis invaded was their own. People need to learn history again. Because once you don't know history, it will repeat itself. And you will say, how can this happen? Because we all let it happen. Okay? So, that's my little 2 cents on Ferguson. Like I said, I'm not demonizing, I'm not Michael Brown or anything, or anyone else, or Darren Wilson. I'm just letting you know what I've learned in the past week. The only villains in this is the militarization of police and those who are trying to profit from trying to incite a race war. Those are the two villains. Hammer Hitter 7 out.